from the housing financial crisis, the dot-com crisis, and now the upcoming AI bubble burst, I'm not quite sure why we still shoot ourselves in our foot for the sake of short-term benefit for the rich people that have the capacity to dip out. Always so disingenuous. Bubbles keep on happening, and you need to just wait for 2 to 3 years before another financial crisis happens, due to the fact that we have an upcoming AI bubble that is going to pop anytime. Because we keep on doing the same mistake of securitizing debt. That's why even OpenAI and other companies that utilizes all of the products from them creates a new problem that is about to happen. From the intro of Joseph alone, you can already see that securitization does not make our society richer in any way because it does not increase the productive capacity of our economy. I think Joseph was already clear, and this will also attack LO's entire case of protection, where, it's just simply untrue. First of all, Joseph told you that debt is fine when it stays inside the relationship where responsibility exists either way. Right now, it's still happening. The lender most of the time still checks the borrower, prices risk wait. The lender checks the borrower, prices risk properly, and lives with the outcome. That's the outcome that we need to happen. That needs to happen. But the second that you securitize it and sell it, you break the chain of accountability because the banks get paid upfront and walks away, and the rest is passed to strangers who never touch the borrower, never verify the loan quality, and cannot fix the underlying repayment problem anyway. So we stop treating that as a tool for real economic activity, and that is still happening right now. And this is the reason why mortgages are so expensive right now with its inflated value, and why garnering the ability to afford these loans in the first place becomes far worse for normal populace in our society. Even though Trump signed the SALT bill, for example, all of it are still happening. There's still a lot of mortgages. The mortgages in City or Connecticut, for example, is still fucking expensive because all of the time we still securitize debt. So all of our progress are being erased. With this in mind, Gen Z will always have a hard time to garner proper livelihood in this economic rat race. I'm not quite sure why that is the strategy coming from OO though. Since right now, debt is still a very, very tradable commodity. The system in the status quo reaches the perverse version of capitalism in our free market. It still gets addicted to the volume and not the quality of it. It starts producing loans for the purpose of selling loans, but at the same time, its rates are so disadvantageous for people who actually needs it. So, even if some people might be able to garner loans because, we sell out more loans in the first place, due to the fact that investors need to securitize it, the problem is at the end, the entire market suffers due to this inflation, and it's harder for them to repay it. That's why inside opposition, you get over-lending bubbles and the collapse that hits both sides. Borrowers get crushed by aggressive enforcement, and investors get wiped out by holding a safe product that was never safe in the first place. Note, this is just the surface harm from this issue. The purpose why I said this is to simply push out the very thin margin of clash from OO. The urban poor and the middle class are exactly who motivate our side of the house. This debate, as Joseph preempts, is not about normal vanilla lending. The largest financial institutions like BlackRock, Blackstone, and JP Morgan are the ones who structure securitized debt, and not the average person. As Joseph said, this is a complex and special financial instrument, and at the same time, LO is not really exclusive, and they're really uncomparative in this debate. Not all securitized debt is illiquid. In fact, Joseph takes the high burden to prove that even if they are liquid, they're still risky. Before the 2008 financial crisis, all these instruments were liquid in the first place. But as market conditions changed the liquidity, it was sucked from the economy. Parenthetically, LO concedes that they are illiquid, which makes this the underlying asset more susceptible to price volatility and the market shocks that leads to market crashes. But the biggest indictment of securitization that is systematically increasing the probability and the blast regions of financial crisis that is about to happen in our generation is a lot far worse. And this is the structure itself wherein it manufactured crisis condition. And this is something that OP never responded into. There's two systemic problems here. First, bank and originators are no longer rewarded for making loans to survive, especially if you put it out in our current context where it happens aggressively. Since they are raising more, they're rewarded for making loans that can be moved. The faster that you originate, the faster that you earn fees is the faster that you exit. So that pushes standards downward and the volume upward because the system has a built-in hunger for more product and package to sell. That's why investors then chase the securities because the returns look smooth and predictable on paper, especially if you put it out with the current sales. So the demand rises right now. Credit gets cheaper and the money floods into the same sectors again and again. That's how you inflate bubbles. Worse, securitization turns isolated bad lending into a systemic-wide contagion. Like, literally, I'm going to make it simple. If you have a problem because you sell out bad conditions of debt, why make the economy suffer from this? It's so stupid in the first place. And that's why when defaults began rising, institutions don't just worry about their losses. They worry about everyone else's hidden exposure because nobody knows who is holding the rot anymore. Because even if you put it in a smoke screen, even if you put it under the system, even if it will be exposed, you will also have a hard time to bundle on this. And this is the angle that I think op keeps on missing. Debt is not bad, and what we want is a debt that is something that is accountable. That means even if a business is productive and responsible, what we want is a faith that becomes linked to their responsibility. That's why it is only on our side in this debate where we get better lending because the system rewards good debt and not sellable debt. In our counterfactual, without securitization, the lenders can treat loans like disposable products. They cannot flip for instant profit. So they're forced to care about whether borrower can actually repay over time. That single change makes lending tighter and healthier because banks verify income and capacity more seriously. And again, we tend to make more aggression to the standard of survivable debt, where profit comes from long-term repayment success. So the impact is a credit system that actually builds the stability of manufacturing collapse. That's why in our side, fewer people get trapped in loans. They were never positioned to survive. Fewer bubbles from reckless overlending. And when shocks happen, the damages stays contained inside instead of detonating across the whole economy.